Kingdom of Cambodia is a country located in the southern portion of the Indo-Chinese Peninsula in Southeast Asia, spanning an area of 181,035 square kilometers, bordered by Thailand to the northwest, Laos to the north, Vietnam to the east, and the Gulf of Thailand to the southwest. Cambodia is largely a land of plains and great rivers, and lies amid important of land and river trade routes linking China to India and Southeast Asia. Influences of many Asian cultures alongside those of France and the United States can be seen in the capital Phnom Penh, one of a handful of urban centers in the largely rural country. The vast majority of Cambodia's population is of ethnic Khmer origin, who are speakers of the Khmer language, the country's sole official language. Cambodia's population is largely homogeneous, and its minority groups include Chams, Vietnamese, and Chinese. Archaeological data has revealed that the area we now call Cambodia was inhabited by human beings at least 40,000 years ago. Cities developed along the coast in the centuries before and after the birth of Christ. Indian and Chinese pilgrims and traders passed through the cities, and for the first centuries of the Christian era, sources for Cambodian history that survive are almost entirely written in Chinese. Elements of Indian culture in the meantime took root among Cambodia's elite, and by the 5th and 6th centuries, several Hinduized kingdoms sprang up in southern Cambodia. We know about them from the remains of small religious monuments in brick, laterite, and stone, from massive stone sculptures, and from inscriptions in Sanskrit and Cambodian or Khmer. The earliest dated inscription comes from the 4th century. In its heyday, Angkor was a powerful kingdom that dominated much of mainland Southeast Asia. Its capital, Yasodarapura, probably housed as many as 1 million people, most of them Buddhists, making it one of the most popular cities in the world. The city's temples, dedicated to the Buddha or the Hindu gods, are among the artistic wonders of the world. In 1863, the Cambodian king, fearful of Thai intentions, asked France to provide protection for his kingdom. France kept Cambodia from being swallowed up, but the protectorate developed into a full-scale colonial relationship that the king had not foreseen. The French rule lasted until the 1950s and was less harsh than in neighboring Vietnam. After Cambodia gained its independence from France, it entered a short period of peace and prosperity, which many older Khmer now look back on as a golden age. In the 1960s, however, Cambodia was drawn inexorably into the Vietnam War. In 1975, communist forces known to the outside world as Khmer Rouge or Red Khmers overthrew the pro-American regime that had seized power 5 years before. In the Khmer Rouge era that followed, at least 1.2 million Cambodians died of malnutrition, overwork, executions, and mistreated diseases as the Maoist-inspired regime sought to achieve total communism overnight. The responding Cambodian attacks, Vietnam invaded Cambodia in 1979 and established a protectorate there that lasted for 10 years. Under peace agreement signed in Paris in 1991, Cambodia came under United Nations protection for a time in preparation for general elections that were held in 1993. Since then, Cambodia has been a constitutional monarchy ruled by a coalition government that has accepted a large infusion of foreign aid. In 1999, Cambodia became a member of ASEAN and became, for the first time, after centuries of isolation, a full-fledged member of the Southeast Asian community.
Cambodia is officially known as the Kingdom of Cambodia and has a constitutional monarchy. The monarchy in Cambodia is a symbolic institution with limited powers, and the king serves as the head of state. The current king of Cambodia is King Norodom Sihamoni, who ascended to the throne in 2004. The executive power in Cambodia rests with the Prime Minister, who is the head of government. The Prime Minister is appointed by the king, but is chosen for the majority party or coalition in the National Assembly, the country's legislative body. The Prime Minister holds the real political authority and exercises significant control over the government and its policies. However, the political power is largely concentrated in the hands of Prime Minister Hun Sen and the ruling party, the Cambodia's People's Party (CPP). Hun Sen has been in power since 1985, making him one of the world's longest-serving Prime Minister. The CPP has dominated Cambodia politics for decades. An opposition party has faced significant challenge and restriction. Cambodia's parliamentary democracy consists of bicameral legislature. The National Assembly is the country's legislative body, consisting of 125 seats. The National Assembly, the lower house, consists of elected representatives. Members of National Assembly are elected through a general election process, and they are responsible for enacting the laws and overseeing the government. The Senate, the upper house, consists of members who are elected and appointed by various bodies. Cambodia's GDP in 2022 was estimated to be 28.54 billion. This represents a growth of 5.2% from the previous year. The growth was driven by strong performance in the agriculture, tourism and construction sectors. Situated in the heart of Indochina in Southeast Asia Dynamic Center, Cambodia has turned into one of the world's fastest growing economies. The two largest industries in Cambodia are textile and tourism. The garment industry is the largest export sector, accounting for over 80% of total exports. Tourism is also a major source of foreign exchange, with over 6 million tourists visiting Cambodia in 2019. Other important sectors of the economy include agriculture, construction and services. Agriculture employs over half of the labour force, but it contributes only about 20% of GDP. Construction is a growing sector driven by the need for infrastructure development. Services are the largest sector of the economy, accounting for over 50% of GDP. The government is confident that the economy will continue to grow in the medium term. This is supported by the country's strong fundamentals, including a young and growing population, a low debt burden and a stable political environment.
Before the Khmer era, Cambodian society was somewhat hierarchical, with some room for movement, with the degrees of status being decided by wealth and reputation. In their own special way, Buddhist monks have always been honored. Traditionally, villages have been very equal with elected headmen in charge. Some families were more rich than others, but not by much. Age, temperament, and piety were commonly used to define society. Traditional methods of social control include teaching children appropriate behavior through praise, ostracism, and the shame, embarrassment, and loss of face that come along with breaching social norms. For the cultural, religion has been an important source of cultural inspiration in Cambodia throughout its lengthy history. Cambodians have formed a distinct Khmer culture and belief system over nearly 2 millennia through a synthesis of indigenous animistic ideas and the Indian faiths of Buddhism and Hinduism. Around the 1st century, Indian culture and civilization, including its language and arts, entered mainland Southeast Asia. Seafaring merchants are thought to have transported Indian custom and culture to ports along the Gulf of Thailand and the Pacific en route to trade with China. Funan was most likely the first Khmer state to profit from this flood of Indian ideas. There is also French influence. The ancient Khmer temple of Angkor Wat, as well as the old Khmer Empire and its enormous treasures, are the most important cultural symbols. Places and bas-relief sculptures of Angkor tombs, four-faced Bayon Tower, and Asperas celestial dancing girls are common in houses and public structures.
Hi, my name is Muhammad KHAIRI, and next I would like to present about Cambodian political issues. The people of Cambodia begin to worry about his sovereignty of freedom and human rights in their country, led by the Prime Minister Hun Sen. As a country that practices democratic concepts, Cambodia is led by the Cambodian people themselves through political parties. However, many political parties have previously been dominated by the Cambodian People's Party led by Hun Sen himself. In reality, Cambodia is now ruled by a dominant political party that has been not defeated since 1985. What worries about political issue in Cambodia is that Hun Sen is a former Khmer Rouge officer since 1985. The Khmer Rouge is a communist organization that rules Cambodia by using violent army. His administration is also often accused of neglecting human rights and suppressing political opposition, ruled by ex-communist leader and having dominant power in government. This made the people worry that Hun Sen would start to take over the army and start a communist government. This will curb the freedom of human rights and liberties as is the case in North Korea. Next is about Cambodian security issues. Security problems with overlapping claims occur frequently and have persisted up until this point in time, presumably without solution. With regard to the continuous shelf region as well as the so-called territorial sea and internal waterways, Cambodia is at odds with its neighbours Thailand and Vietnam. it also introduced a tripartite in the submarine segment to some extent, in order to strengthen the capability of its navy to defend the coast, combat piracy and terrorism, and safeguard marine transport and oil exploration. Cambodia is currently facing new difficulties in maritime security. As a result, compared to other coastal states in the sub-region, Cambodia is an extremely precarious geographic location. Although Cambodia has improved the preservation of its marine environment and strengthened its maritime security to combat terrorism and transnational crime, the nation still requires assistance and collaboration from friends and allies around the globe to confront new maritime security concerns.
This dramatic slowdown in growth can be attributed to dependence on a narrow range of product, market, and factory input. In recent years, 5 products have in recent years accounted for 80% of total export, 2 markets have accounted for 69% of merchandise export, and foreign capital accounted for 72% of total capital investment in 2018. The diversification problem is rooted in low and declining productivity, low quality and weak export linkage, and high foreign direct investment but low domestic investment. Cambodia's inability to grow the product basket is explained by low level productivity or output per worker, which lag behind most countries globally when at Cambodia development level. Low level productivity, at least in part, reflects low human capital, but the largest contributor is the low and declining total factor productivity. Low competitiveness and limited integration within global value chains have led to concentrated market entry. Constraints to diversifying and upgrading Cambodia trade are the equality of FDI, law firm, and worker capability, costly trade-related regulatory barrier affecting agriculture, the insufficient trade-related infrastructure, and misuse of regional trade agreement to support greater market access of exporters. The country's low private saving rate and low domestic investment have led to reliance of external financing resources rather than how many households save, how much households save, and more important, households save appear to be key factor in pending greater domestic investment. This dramatic slowdown in growth can be attributed to dependence on a narrow range of product, market, and factory input. In recent years, 5 products have in recent years accounted for 80% of total export, 2 markets have accounted for 69% of merchandise export, and foreign capital accounted for 72% of total capital investment in 2018. The diversification problem is rooted in low and declining productivity, low quality and weak export linkage, and high foreign direct investment but low domestic investment. Cambodia's inability to grow the product basket is explained by low level productivity or output per worker, which lag behind most countries.
The human rights of indigenous people and the urban poor have been infringed by rampant illegal logging and unrestrained urban expansion. Significant restriction on the right to free speech and association continue, and unjust trials of members and sympathizers of the political opposition go on. Authorities detained, abused, and arrested striking workers. Despite some efforts, human trafficking was still pervasive. Human rights violations were associated with microfinance loans, and the right to sufficient house was not guaranteed.
In conclusion, Asia has emerged as a driving force for the global economy over the past generation because of drive, commitment, and creativity. Cambodia has already demonstrated an extraordinary determination to raise itself into the rank of economic success stories. The issues I have described today are not unique to Cambodia. Many countries have the same challenges. What is needed is the appropriate response. That means reform to stimulate diversification and improve governance, or business solutions that create good jobs.